Welcome home, horror fans. My name's Adam.
And I'm Zoe.
And this is the 10 worst characters in the Saw franchise.
Now, I'm sure by this point you saw our video covering the 10 best characters in the Saw franchise. And we thought it was only appropriate to move on to the worst.
These are the crappiest characters
The
in the
crappiest
franchise.
characters by far.
Yeah.
And these picks were not very hard. There are a fair few crap characters to choose from. And let's just start at number 10, I suppose. At number 10, we have Detective Halloran.
Good. And this nonsense once and for all.
John Kramer's dead and has been for 10 years.
This is not a very liked character.
You really don't like Halloran.
Do you like Halloran?
I mean, I don't... I don't mind him. I think that he definitely deserves to be on this list. He is by far not a standout character at all.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the worst,
No.
so I think number 10 is a safe number for him.
No, and look, Jigsaw, of course, is one of the weakest films, and, you know, in this film we get introduced to a lot of new characters, and they're pretty much all crap, let's be honest. And Detective Halloran, because he is a detective and he's one of the major characters, let's say, he's sort of one of the bigger plot characters, he's just not very likable because he's not fleshed out. We don't get a good sense of who he is. And he just pales in comparison to all the great detectives that we've had previously. Which we've had so many. We've been spoiled with so many great detectives over the years. I mean, you can name all of them and they're all more entertaining. Okay, not every single one. But generally are all more entertaining than Halloran.
Confess. Okay. I did some shitty things.
The best part about Halloran is when he dies.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
We don't care when he dies, you know. That just shows you how much you care about the character.
No, we don't care when he dies at all. His death is really cool.
Yeah.
And Logan is really great in it. But yeah, the best part overall about his character is when he dies, and I think that that is a clear indication of why he has made this list.
Yes, he's a very forgettable character, and we just don't care about him.
For sure.
So we're not interested in seeing any more Halloran. Let's just cross him off the list and move on to number 9.
At number 9, we have Charles, or better known as the guy that works for the Herald.
It's your turn.
I'm an investigative journalist for the Herald.
The guy who works at the Herald. Oh no, sorry. Can you do the impression?
I work for the Herald.
No, it's like this. The Herald.
The Herald.
Yes.
What a character. What a cliche douchebag.
Yes, exactly.
And it doesn't help that he's part of a plot of many cliche douchebags.
Yes.
He's really just the pick of a bad litter, I suppose.
Yes,
Yeah.
and this is obviously, he's part of the trap plot of the film, and none of the characters in this trap plot are really that enjoyable.
No.
And he is by far the least enjoyable.
The least enjoyable. I think that they made a good decision at least killing him off pretty early throughout the film. And I think they probably looked at the script and like, thank God we did that. He's not very good. How he portrays, the actor portrays Charles, I suppose, is made for us as the audience to dislike him.
Yeah, of course.
Which I suppose they've achieved that goal at least.
Yeah.
But his character is pretty poorly written, I'd say. I think he's there to add some sense of comedic relief, and I don't think he really does that very well. To me, it's just, this guy again. I can't wait for him to die so the film can get a little bit better.
Yeah, there's no real character depth here. He is played, like you said, just a typical cliche douchebag. Maybe a little on the nose in terms of the douchebaggery, and there's nothing to like here in terms of this character. Quite uninteresting, and yes, very glad that he died off very quickly. And of course, the only thing we can really remember from the character, certainly not his name, is just when he says,
I work for the Herald.
You know, and that'll forever be a great quote in the Saw franchise.
Yeah,
but
one of the best.
Character.
One of the best. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Herald guy, as he will forever be known. We're going to have to make a t-shirt where it's just him going, the Herald.
Oh, that'd sell, right?
That'd sell, right?
That'd
Yeah,
sell.
that'd be a great shirt. Let us know if you would wear the Herald guy on a shirt.
We had to Google his name, so.
Yes.
All right, at number 8, we have Kale.
Move along, buddy. You signed your book. Thanks for the signature.
Now, you
Now,
might be
does
thinking,
anyone know who this is?
I certainly couldn't have told you what his name was.
I thought it was Gareth.
He looks like a Gareth. He does.
He does.
Also known as Bobby Dagan's best friend.
He's bestie.
Because who would know this guy's name? You know, Kale. When you think of Kale.
Let's start off by saying that Kale is a bit of a joke. From how he's performed, like how he's fleshed out, his actor that plays him, his costumes, his wig. His whole look is a bit of a joke, much like Saw 3D. Yeah. Just kidding, I love Saw 3D. But anyways, Kale is not very good. Kale is an enabler of Bobby's destruction and his poor behavior, and really just doing it for his own benefit as well as he's profiting off it as his assistant. Kale is actually the person who gave Bobby the idea of lying in the first place. Yeah, not a very nice guy.
He's not a good guy. He's in on the lie, and he's there to sort of cover Bobby's ass in a few ways. Obviously, he's, he tells John Kramer to take a hike when John Kramer turns up with his baseball cap and tries to harass him. But overall, our issue with this character is he just looks like the epitome of a daytime movie character. There's something about him that's so generic.
Most of that group, Bobby's group, do look like daytime characters.
Yeah, all of the characters in Saw 3D from Bobby's sort of friendship group are all just really so unlikable. And it's just, there's none of them in that group that they kind of like look really unrealistic as well. You know? They don't look like people. Yeah. There's something about them that just look very put together, and it's just not quite right. And him, out of all of them, obviously being the best friend, stands out very heavily. And he's certainly a character that the less we see of him, the better.
Yeah, definitely.
Places him on this list.
And I think even with another really crap thing about his character is he doesn't even really get a good death. It's sort of just like, oh. So you save like the second last kill of the main plot for that. Like
it's a terrible trap.
It's a terrible trap, and it's supposed to be, bordering and bringing and building the climax, and it just doesn't really give us much. But that's fine. Kale, you will not be, you will be forgotten, should I say.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? For somebody who gets as much screen time as he does, it's very hard to remember his name, which is exactly why he would be on this list. He's not a great character, and we're very glad to have as little as possible of him. So moving along.
Moving along to number 7, we have Parker Sears.
Can't believe they fell for the whole damn thing, hook, line, and sinker.
I know.
Fucking idiots.
I think Parker Sears' character could be broken up into 2 parts. I think that the Parker Sears that we see bust in and, try and blame Cecilia and try and get his revenge and claim that he is a victim as well, and that he's just become aware that he's been scammed. I think the Parker up until that point is very, very interesting. I think that when it hits the point that we realize Parker is on Cecilia's side, that's when his character starts to fall really flat.
A bit weak. He comes out a bit weak.
Just a bit weak, and that's... I don't know whether it was a fault with the writing or whether it was a fault with the actor himself. I just think like the idea of that being the case and the idea of him working with Cecilia the whole time is cool, but it didn't do much for me seeing it actually unfold.
Should he be losing basically a fist fight with Cecilia for that porthole in the last trap?
Probably not.
And he's somebody that you wouldn't expect to just be, I guess, like a bit of a cuck for Cecilia. He's a bit of a simp. So he sort of like loses his way a little bit. And I think that we would have loved to have kept him as he sort of was in the first sort of half of his character arc.
He was interesting.
He was a bit strong. He was a stronger character. He looked like somebody who could give them a bit of grief. And then he sort of fell away towards the end. And I think Saw X's ending was a little bit weaker because he probably didn't put up as much of a fight as we'd like to see.
No, exactly right.
You guys are fucking sick.
Which brings us to number 6.
Number 6, we have Pamela Jenkins.
Pamela Jenkins, the resident Jigsaw sensation.
Just reporting the facts, Detective.
I think with Pamela Jenkins, it's just another classic cliche character. She's playing the writer/reporter that's trying to get involved in everyone's business. But the problem with Pamela Jenkins is she's comes in out of nowhere and then she's gone. It would have been so much cooler to have her span across a few films, maybe playing that sort of role of her digging around with things and trying to get more involved than she should be. Of course, there is that scene where Hoffman says, you need to butt out, you're getting your nose in things or places that it shouldn't be. Yep. And of course, that's how she ends up trapped, but it would have been so much cooler to see her meddling with stuff earlier on and then her ultimately ending up in a bad situation.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the thing about Pamela Jenkins is she kind of feels like you could almost cut out all of her scenes. and you probably wouldn't even notice a difference between the whole franchise. Like literally every scene she is, there's little bits and pieces, like I said, interacts with big characters, but she has so little impact that you could pretty much just delete the scenes and you wouldn't even really notice the difference in the story.
Definitely not.
So not a very strong character at all. And again, she kind of does have that kind of daytime movie look to her.
Yeah, definitely.
She looks like a bit of a fake character. Just to look at her, you don't go, that's a normal person. She looks a bit off. She looks a little bit off compared to the rest. So a nice little pick for number 6. And moving to number 5.
At number 5, we have Dena.
Oh, Dena!
Ryan?
A trap victim, Dena herself. This is an interesting pick for number 5.
I think this one, what makes this one so interesting is she's in it for such a short period of time and she still managed to get in the top 5 worst characters in the Saw franchise. Give her a round of applause. Go, Dena, go, because she's really bad, and I'm all for girl power, but honey, I just have a real gripe with Dena, a real gripe.
Dena is a character who, yeah, like you said, very small role, and we didn't put many small trap victims in this list because we want people that, you know, you're going to know of and remember. But she stands out as a character.
She's memorable.
She's relatively memorable, you know. Opening trap of Saw 3D, and it's one of these characters that you sort of look at and you go, Dena, what are you doing? Like, first of all, getting herself...
Dena!
Oh, Dena!
Her performance in the trap itself just is all over the place. And I don't know, there's nothing really to like here about Dena's character, unfortunately.
No, Dena just needed to learn to shut up.
Yes. And look, there are a lot of trap victims, obviously, over the franchise. And this is a character who purely got put into a trap for two-timing, you know, basically a couple of guys. It's not really a great reason to put someone in a trap. And that's why I think we put this in this list, because it's sort of like... maybe there's better people or better characters you could have put into a Saw trap. So
there's many.
Yes. And, you know, look, it's not a great character, but I don't want to be the person to say it, but it definitely seems like a female character that was written by a man. Moving along to number 4.
At number 4, we have Detective Fitch.
Fuck you.
No, fuck you!
And this is a name that's not super memorable either.
No. Honestly, I probably couldn't have told you his name if I had have even seen a photo of him.
Yeah.
But that's not saying much because he is from Spiral, and that is, of course, our least favourite film in the Saw franchise.
Not to beat a dead horse or anything, but...
closely followed by Jigsaw. Let's say they're pretty close to being in the same boat. But Detective Fitch specifically is not a very memorable character at all. Just an all-round bad guy, like another cliche corrupt cop, which seems to be common across the Saw franchise. But this one in particular just gets everything wrong. Of course, you see him going off and doing his own thing and not following Zeke's orders, not following the chief's orders, pretty much not following what anyone says, and this ultimately results in him being trapped, which probably would have happened anyway, but
yes,
he does get trapped purely for poking his nose around where it shouldn't be.
Yes, incredibly cliche character here. Look, Spiral is full of bad cop characters, and I guess you could, we have pick of the litter really in terms of just picking any of these characters in Spiral, because there's so many on the police force that are terrible characters. He's just really, and I think that's the thing about Spiral, is they're just painted out to be all bad guys. Fitch specifically is just so cliche bad guy, and he's just got a punchable face.
He really does, doesn't he?
So
just a massively punchable face, which Samuel L. Jackson does get to do throughout the film. So I suppose that there's always a plus when it comes to Spiral. There are certain parts that we enjoy, and that is one of them. Fitch, just an all-round bad guy, someone we don't really particularly enjoy watching until he's dying on screen.
That's right. A character that has no character depth. There's not much to him. He's just a cliche bad cop. There's nothing really else to like about this character at all. So very little to sort of get from this guy. Take him or leave him. Doesn't need to be there. Purely just for plot progression. So an easy placement on this list as well. And we definitely wanted to throw somebody from Spiral in there for you too.
We have at number 3, Matt Gibson.
You're crazy. You know that? I knew you were crazy the minute I laid eyes on you. Crazy.
You hate Gibson.
All right, we've made it to the top 3 worst characters in the Saw franchise. So we got some good characters in this list.
Good characters?
Yeah, this is some powerfully bad characters in the top 3. And Gibson, Oh, Gibson. What could be
Because
said
it's
about
such
Gibson?
a shame because he's not a bad actor.
In this he
But
is.
in this he is.
In this he is.
Like, if there was an award
Yeah.
for bad actors, which I think there is actually.
A Razzie.
Yes.
Yes.
Give it to him. He's terrible. He's terrible. And we know
I don't
that
think he wants the Razzie, by the way.
we know that in the Saw franchise, there are some bad performances. There's some bad characters. You know, we've just gone and listed 7 of them for you. But him specifically, when you think of poorly acted characters in the Saw franchise, he's probably one of the first that comes to mind.
Yes.
He's so bad. He's just, again, a cop that is introduced for this film, never spoken about prior. So, of course, he's starting off on a bad note already. But just the performance that is given to this character is, it's pathetic. It's so hard to watch.
Yeah, it's amazing the comparison when you think about the Saw franchise and you think about characters like Gibson, who ruins every scene he's in. You're just sitting there going, oh, it's painful.
Get him off. Get him off.
Painful to watch. What did he just say? What did he just do? What is going on? And then you compare that to other characters in the franchise like John Kramer or Hoffman, who are just like everything they do, you're like, oh, give me more. This is fantastic. It's just incredible, the difference. And I don't know, do we blame Gibson on bad acting? Is it because, Kevin Grudert, the director, just hated his time on Saw 3D and didn't give a crap? Is it the writing? Like, what is it that just went wrong with this detective? Like, we got some bad detectives, but this guy is all over the place.
I don't think it's no one thing that has
It was a
caused,
perfect storm of terrible
that has caused
things.
his performance to be so bad. I think that it was a number of things that piled on top of each other because, he's not great. No. He's not great acted. He has terrible dialogue. The writing is horrific. His death's not even good. There's no good moment for him. You can't think of a single redeeming quality about his character.
He's got one of the worst trap deaths of anybody.
The worst trap deaths of anybody. Not only that,
So
but then we
random.
get this random flashback of Mark Hoffman killing someone in his scene, an innocent person. It's just everything about his character just wrecks the story.
He is crazier than a sack of cats.
Yes.
He's so bad. And
speaking of crazier than a sack of cats, that brings us to number 2. At number 2, we have Jill Tuck.
What do we got here?
That's Jill Tuck, Jigsaw's widow.
you knew it was coming. Here she is, Jill Tuck. And let's not even talk about number 1, because you guys are already assuming what number 1 is. You're probably wrong.
I feel like my
Number 2, Jill
relationship
Tuck.
with Jill Tuck is your relationship with Matt Gibson.
Oh,
I
maybe.
hate Jill Tuck. I can't
You hate her that
stand
much?
her. I hate her. I think
Really?
that she is the epitome of bad characters in the Saw franchise. She is so poorly written. And let's not even get into the fact that she's not a great actress, because we know that and everyone points that out. So I don't want to drag her through the dirt for that.
Sorry,
But
Jill Tuck.
the writing for this character is horrendous. She starts off as someone who is
Just a normal character.
the wife of a serial killer who suspects that maybe something's going on, but she definitely isn't about it. She wants to be away. She doesn't want to be involved. She even goes to the point of questioning John and asking him, "Where's Cecil? What did you do to him? This is ridiculous. You can't go around just killing people."
She's normal.
She's not about it. She's a normal person. And then there's this point in the franchise where she switches, she flips, and she becomes this character that not only supports John, but goes and visits him and takes stuff from him and goes through boxes and his will and last requests and fulfills them for him, which seems so out of character for her based on who she was in Saw 4.
She basically becomes a disciple.
Yeah,
which is
pretty
crazy
much.
because she's not that character.
No.
She's somebody who
Well,
helps.
not initially, anyway.
No, of course,
No.
yeah, from the start, and she never should become a disciple. There's no reason for it. She's somebody who works in a clinic helping people. She's not somebody who's trying to kill people or torture them. But also, she has some of the craziest scenes in the franchise.
Game over.
And the one that always comes to mind is the
running?
The running scene when she just does the run, and it just looks so unnatural and so wrong. And obviously leading on from the running, she's sitting there hiding behind the coats, and she's like, literally her giant face is right there, and Hoffman doesn't notice her, and it's like, is now a comedy. It's just crazy. The scenes that with look, Hoffman pulls it off. The whole thing, working with her, he's fine. But
I think what we've come to realize about Jill Tuck, Matt Gibson, Kale, that the characters of Saw 3D are just so poorly written in general, poorly acted, poorly directed. I think that... Sorry, Kevin. We love you, Kevin, but we know you didn't want to be there. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's evident.
Yes.
It is evident. The film, although we love it and it is like a favorite, and there are many,
we still love Saw 3D.
many great parts of Saw 3D that we really enjoy, it is evident in your characters that no one wanted to be there. Except Costas Mandylor, because he's great.
Yeah, Costas brought it. But I feel like maybe like a lot of characters or a lot of actors thought it was a comedy. Yeah. Maybe because Gibson he's played out like a comedic character in the way he's just so all over the top. And Jill Tuck, same thing. She has this very comedic sort of performance. It's just weird. So, look, I think a lot of people agree with Jill being very high on this list. That leaves one character, and I know who you guys think the worst character in the Saw franchise is.
Oh, is it Jeff?
And it ain't Jeff.
It's sorry. Not Jeff?
It's not.
Who else could it be?
It's not slow-mo Jeff. I'm sorry to tell you.
Jeff should have made the best characters.
Now you're just trolling all them.
We need to do a Jeff in defense video.
Exactly. Look, you guys know we love Jeff, all right? So don't come here expecting him to be the worst character in the franchise.
Because he's not. He's not. And quite obviously, the worst character in the Saw franchise is none other than Bobby Dagan.
And I just screamed. I just sat there and screamed.
This one was obvious.
Can I just say, I'm glad 3D is dead. I'm glad that we're never going to get another 3D film again. Fingers crossed. Hopefully. Not a film that's made for 3D anyway, because Saw 3D, another one, Bobby Dagan.
Bobby Dagan.
He's terrible.
He's the worst.
He's the worst.
He's the worst.
He's the worst of the worst.
Bobby Dagan is so bad. Like, you could literally, again, delete all these scenes and the film would be a better movie.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even make it.
What a shame that we don't find out what happened to Bobby. What a shame. Please never tell us.
Yes. We've been waiting forever to find out what happens to Hoffman. The cliffhanger about never finding out what happens to Bobby Dagan, no one cares. We're not interested. Just forget he ever existed. And if you deleted all these scenes and the film doesn't make any sense, doesn't matter. Just don't talk about Bobby Dagan ever again. Look, there's a lot of things wrong about Bobby Dagan. Obviously, what he did was bad, lying about being a trap victim.
But I think that one thing I will say about the writing, good job, because I think that's a cool...
It's not a terrible idea.
It's a cool idea to have. No. It really could have been really awesome to watch unfold on screen.
Yeah, of course.
However, Bobby Dagan as I suppose the protagonist of it all, playing this character who lied about being in a test is just horrible. What a bad pick. You get so many flashbacks as well of Bobby Dagan as well, planning, I suppose, being the victim and then meeting Jigsaw, and it's all terrible.
Yeah.
It's all terrible. It's bad. Again, another one that has a really bad wig and really bad costume, makeup, and that sort of thing. He goes and he plays sort of, I suppose, a famous person in the Jigsaw world. He's got this documentary coming out. He's got a book. It's just really bad.
And he's not a character that you love to hate. He's not a William Easton or a Cecilia who is smart about what he does and is well performed and looks the part. He's just a character that looks so out of place. He doesn't look like a real person almost. His wigs are bad. He's dressed poorly. He's not performed well. There's no redeeming qualities, and you certainly do not ever begin to root for him at any point throughout the film. You just really don't care, and it's a shame, but it is one of these things which, Saw 3D was not a great movie, like we love it, but it's not overall a great movie, and it introduced a few not great characters, which are why they're on this list. And he is the number one character that if we could delete them from the franchise, it would be that one. It would be Bobby Dagan.
Can you believe that there were 5 characters on this list from Saw 3D? Kale, Dena, Matt Gibson, Jill Tuck, Bobby Dagan.
I think people think that we hate Spiral. Yeah. Look, I think that's self-evident, right?
It is self-evident, and it really is a shame because, like we've said a few times now, we do really enjoy Saw 3D. like I said, one of the best moments throughout the franchise. You get the reverse bear trap going off. You get the birth of Hoffmanator. I think it's a really fun
Dr.
film
Gordon reveal.
Dr. Gordon reveal. It's a really fun film to watch for these parts, but getting to these parts is the hardest part.
Yes, we do need to release a cut of the film, which just takes out all the new characters, and we just see the parts of Hoffman, Gordon, the cool things that happen in the film. We would be much happier with that. So that's our list. That is the worst characters in the Saw franchise. Please let us know who we missed. Yes, we didn't put Jeff in the list, so tell us all about it.
Yes, we didn't put Rig there. We know he's not great, but he's certainly better than anyone else on this list.
That's right.
Don't talk about Jeff. We love Jeff. No one's ever going to change our mind about Jeff.
If you want to try and change our mind in the comments about Jeff, go right ahead, and I'm ready to debate. Just go ahead. Let us know. You let us know which characters we forgot. Who's your least favorite character in the whole Saw franchise? That's what we really want to know.
Absolutely.
What was your least favorite character? Did you agree with any of our picks, or did you disagree with all of them? Let us know in the comments, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you next time, guys.